What's up YouTube? Tiffy Stacey here, and I'm back with another Ask Tiffy Stacey video. And this question actually comes from Sean 1D, which she seems to be a favorite of mine on my Ask Tiffy Stacey videos. But thank you, I appreciate it. And she asks, how will I know if my ends need to be trimmed or if I just have frizzy ends? Well, Sean 1D, I have 5 tips for you to consider, and not just you but other people who watch my videos, and hopefully these tips will help you to figure out when you need a trim. So tip number 1 is to basically look at your ends and really look at them to see if you really need get your ends trimmed, and that way is to look to see if you have split ends. And as you can see with my hair, my ends, I just recently got them trimmed a few weeks ago, so my ends don't have split ends as far as I know. But another way you can tell is if your ends look kind of broken or limp. I'm going to show you a picture. Now in that picture you notice that my ends look kind of crazy and it looks really fuzzy. Well, as I said, my ends were kind of limp and broken, so that's another way to tell, and I'm actually going to show you the after picture of that. Now, that was after I did the trim. As you can see, my hair looked a lot livelier, and I got rid of all those dead ends. Well, my mom got rid of all the dead ends. So look for split ends, and if your ends are limp, and that's a good way to tell if you're in need of a trim. Okay, so tip number 2 is if basically your style doesn't hold up. That is when you're in need of a trim. One way to tell is if you've done a protein treatment and you've done that and you notice that your hair is still not holding a style, that is when it's time to get a trim. I always notice that when my style doesn't hold up, if I just recently done a protein treatment within like the last week or 2, I know that I'm in due of a trim. So that's another way. So tip number 3 basically comes from the fact that when was the last time you've had a trim? Now, I don't know if some of you keep track or not, or if you, Sean 1D, if you keep track, but what I did was I went ahead, got a trim done. This was last year when I had first really went natural and all that. I went and got a trim, and I kind of looked at my calendar. I kind of kept track of how long it took for me to get the next trim. And for me, it's usually anywhere, I can go 8 weeks, and I can even go sometimes beyond that, but I have to usually get it done within 2 or 3 months. So I have to get it done at least every 2 to 3 months. So that's how I know that I'm ready for a trim. So tip number 4 is that your ends don't curl as easily as they used to. What I usually do is when I'm in the process of styling my hair, I like to curl my hair around my fingers. And I know that when it gets to a certain point where my curls don't curl as easily, I know it's time for a trim. And I know that my ends are pretty dead at this point. I mean, they're dead to begin with, but I know that I can't work with it at that point. And yes, it could be for maybe heat damage and all that stuff, but I know that at a certain point, that's when it comes to trimming my ends, when the curl doesn't curl as easily as it used to. My final tip of this video is number 5. And that is, of course, what I covered in my last video, is tangling issues. If your hair is tangling a lot, and with mine, I notice I get more knots. I mean, maybe not so much anymore, but before I used to get like little knots in my hair, and I know that's when it's time to go ahead and get rid of those. So I hope this video helps some of you out there who don't know when to necessarily trim, but hey, I do mine pretty regularly. You know, it's better to get rid of the dead ends when they're still kind of fresh, instead of letting them get worse with time. So thanks for watching my video. As always, comment and subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter at Tiffy Stacey, and also like me on my Facebook page as usual. And stay tuned to next videos next week on Ask Tiffy Stacey. Alright, see you guys later.